Well, staff's ready. You ready, Pam? Preston, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, I will call the regular Ridgway Town Council meeting to order. Wednesday, March 9th, 2022, back in person, thank God. And as for let's see, we probably need roll call. We got too long. Roll call. We do roll call. That's right. Never mind.
Councilmember Beck,
Here.
Bramley,
Here.
Bacon,
Here.
Schuyler,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer,
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here. All right, thanks, everybody. Next up is additions or deletions to or from the agenda.
Nothing from staff.
Anything to add or delete, Pam?
No, you're good.
Okay. I'd like to, well, let's go ahead. We'll go adoption of the consent calendar. Is there anything on anybody wants to pull off? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Beck,
Aye.
Bramley.
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Schuyler,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye. We know you're here. We went through. All right, so thank you for that. Next up is public comments. Establish time for the public to address council on something that is, anything that is not otherwise on the agenda. Does anybody have anything either here in the room or on Zoom? Seen any hands up on Zoom? So I guess that's a no. All right, so then that takes us to the regular part of the agenda, but what Preston and I discussed is maybe item number 12 is discussion and direction regarding the indoor masking requirement of town facilities. Why don't we take that up first? So if it goes the way I think it's going to go, we can get our masks off. And basically, my name's on that, so I'll just introduce it and Preston, you can fill in the gaps if need be. We put a mask mandate back in, was it 2 months ago?
Give or take.
I think it was a council meeting before last. Basically just to support the county. The county relaxed theirs yesterday. It seems like all over the country, if not the world, people are relaxing their mask mandates. We could have a long discussion about whether or not it's appropriate, but certainly numbers in Erie County are way down. I think on the MAC group meeting this afternoon, they said they had a 0 on their list for maybe the first time in 2 years as far as active cases go in the county. So things are looking good locally, whereas they might not be elsewhere in the world. But what's everybody think?
I feel like our local cases, it's warranted to lift it. And if we end up in a situation where we have to reinstate it, having lifted it when the data pointed us that way, means that we're following the data, and we can do that if we need to at another point.
I think that makes good sense. Anybody else?
Well said, Beth. And I also think just the public sentiment and patience, and I think everybody's behind it. At least what I've been told and heard.
Anybody else on council has anything to add, please do. Otherwise, anybody in the audience here in the room or on Zoom want to say anything about it? Don't see any hands up, so somebody want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll move to end the current mask mandate at town facilities.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Beck,
Aye.
Bramley,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Schuyler,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye. Okay.
Yeah.
Take them on.
Just like that.
That doesn't
Saw
mean
you,
have
rule
to.
breaker.
All right, now we can My dear.
Shane, we literally just lifted the mask requirement.
All right, that takes us to public requests and presentations.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is 2 requests for use of park and rights of way for both the San Juan Barrel Fest and Ridgway 1K rally through the alley. And that's on October 1st, and then the Fête de la Musique on June 19th, hosted by Weehawken Creative Arts.
And I did want to adjust that agenda item. We're going to remove the second event, the 1K. Oh, excuse me, it's the 1K. And we're going to do that at another meeting because they want to adjust their map on the public rights way.
Okay, so we're still doing the Barrel Fest and Fête de la Musique, or are we leaving? Barrel Fest?
Yeah, that's Barrel Fest could continue with the presentation, that's all, yeah.
All right. So we have the applications in our packet, and Trish, I don't know if there's anything you want to add?
I don't really have anything to add, I just figured I'd be here in case there were questions.
So the request is to use public rights of way. There's maps in your packet showing what they're requesting. Also, there's the request for second year use of the park.
Second year of use? Yeah.
So
So the rights of way are new, but
yeah, so the council, we need to come to council currently the way that the regs are written for the first and second year of an event in the park, and then always for rights of way.
Okay. And after the second year in the park, it can be
Administrative, but uses of rights of way always have to come to council.
All right. I don't know if Preston might want to show the maps on Zoom for people to see. Council have any questions?
So we're actually approving the map now, even though.
For Fête de la Musique.
so this is just for the Fête de la Musique, and so what we're asking is,
Is this interesting?
yes, that's correct. So there's actually 2 maps for the Fête de la Musique. You'll see one says scenario 1 and one says scenario 2. And what we're actually asking is, one of them takes into account that we've come to the understanding that there may be construction on Lena Street that would hinder one of the areas. So we created a secondary map if the construction is happening during that time. And so we are asking for approval for the map 1 with the contingency approval for map 2 if that construction is in place.
That would potentially be our curb gutter sidewalk.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting that you've got the first block, even in scenario 1, where even that could be under construction, I assume, unless.
No, it's from Charles. It's
Yeah.
from Charles north of Otto, so.
Yeah, so from Charles to Frederick is in scenario 1.
No, that's
That's
fine.
one
Yeah.
over, that's four.
That's Frederick. So Frederick.
Oh, gotcha,
This is
gotcha.
Lena.
I'm sorry. You're right. Never mind. Okay, gotcha. Yep. Looking at the wrong street.
Yeah, I appreciate you creating a second map to work with the potential changes coming this way.
We figured we'd like to just kind of have it so that way we don't have to come back to the drawing board, especially if it does significantly lately, and that way we can already know what our plan would be and adjust accordingly.
And while I was out of town for this event last year, I hear that it was a huge success. So I think it's a positive deal.
This is different than the 0K.
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, so this is the June music event,
There'll be little buskers all over town.
like when we had the mariachi band that event.
I did the 0K.
Oh, you did the zero, okay. We don't even have to make a route for that one.
I hate donuts.
Again, if anybody on Zoom has a question, please raise your hand.
So what council's being asked here is to approve use of Hartwell Park for the San Juan Barrel Fest and use of Hartwell Park for the
Fête de la Musique.
Fête data usage.
Music
And,
fest.
and also the use of rights of way for the Fed Day music.
Right.
So 3 different things.
Anybody speaking up?
I don't see anybody on Zoom with their hand up.
Oh, all this looks good to me, and I really enjoyed the Fete Day music we had last year.
Seems like
Great
it's a
event.
great new tradition
Yeah,
in the works. Somebody on Zoom say something?
That was just me. I was just seconding that it was such a great event. It was very Ridgway. It was great.
Thanks, Kevin.
And I mean, the Sherman and Weehawken have been such excellent partners to us. I anticipate there being, continuing to be smooth sailing. So.
This is a Weehawken only
Is it we-
application, right? Or is it-
Yeah,
Sorry, I was looking at.
just only, that's predominantly because we usually try to run things under, one account and one insurance.
Right, and the only reason I ask is
just have to
that,
know if you need.
Yeah,
yeah,
so
I'm realizing.
this one, I will, yes, this one,
I'm wondering if I should recuse myself.
and actually, I think I did list as Trisha at Sherbino, I don't
Oh, this
know.
one.
It's the Sherbino with Weehawken is how we listed it, so.
I should probably recuse myself.
You mind posing that question, Bo? Just to.
Bo, what do you think? You there, Bo?
No issues.
You don't think I need to recuse myself as a board member of the Sherburne?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you should recuse it. Ultimately, that's your decision, but
Yeah, no.
you don't vote on this anyway.
True. Mayor doesn't get to vote unless there's a tie, and we could have a tie. Well, just for cleanliness, why don't I recuse myself and the rest can take it from here?
Perfect.
So seeing no other comments from our participants. Somebody want to make a motion for these 2 events?
I move to approve the use of Hartwell Park and rights of ways for the Fête de la Musique and the use of Town Park for the San Juan Barrel Fest.
Second.
All right, moved and approved. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Beck,
Aye.
Grambly,
Aye.
Lakin,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye. All right, John, you're welcome back in the room.
Formality, but it probably be a good one.
Yeah, good.
All right. Thanks, Trish.
Thank you guys for taking the time. I appreciate it. It's gonna be, they're both going to be great events. And I'll see you again for the 1K with the revised map.
All right.
Have a good night.
You too. All right, that takes us to item number 6, is it? Yeah, 6, and 2 5s.
I guess we removed the ones.
It just was 2 4s and a 6 on the numbers, but
I think initially, yeah,
Yeah, number
Fire
5 is
protection.
a request from the Ridgway Fire
Oh.
Protection District.
am I skipping something?
well, there wasn't any
Oh, that's-
document provided. I don't know if.
All right, apologies, I wasn't looking at the agenda. Item number 5 is a request from the Ridgway Fire Protection District for creation of new water service rate or ability to use surface rate allocated to Ridgway Public Schools under Ridgway Municipal Code. It's got Katie's name on it, but Preston, do you know?
I don't see Katie on
She may have
Zoom.
thought it was gonna be later by. She may have, why don't we table that and move on to,
Or is there anyone else on there from the fire district?
From the fire district, I
I'm
don't
not
believe so.
seeing. I'm aware.
if anybody on Zoom is from the fire district, please speak up. I don't see anybody.
Recording in progress.
Turn off your audio. No, you don't want to mute, you actually turn it off completely.
Join with no audio.
Join with no audio. is what you want.
How do I do that?
You can step out and leave, close your Zoom.
There's a thing. Sorry, folks. Hold on a second.
We've only been doing this for 2 years.
They're good.
Sorry. This happens to me.
Sorry about that. Okay, I still think we should probably, table that, come back to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Charles Mueller was the one who asked to be on the agenda.
Who
He
did?
said he was gonna try to, yeah.
Oh,
He was
right.
gonna try to have Katie.
Okay, I'm guessing that since we're moving right along, they probably thought we'd be six before we got to that. So we're gonna go to our one and only public hearing for tonight, which is item number 6, review and action on request for extension of River Park Ridgway Business File number 3. Item 3, preliminary plat. Preston?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I'll try not to read too much from the memo. There's a lot of background in there. Hopefully you got a chance to look at that. And we do have Mr. Petroselli here representing the applicant. And I also see Mr. Glenn Pauls and Mr. Scott Strand here on Zoom. So we got a full house from the applicant team. Ridgway Light Industrial LLC is the applicant owner. They are requesting an extension of the approved preliminary plat for River Park Ridgway Business Park PUD as it relates to filing 3, plan blocks 9 through 12 of the industrial park. The same request for extension was made a number of times over the last 10 years or so. And I think this marks the 7th request. Town council previously determined the requisite criteria were met and granted all prior requests for a 2-year timeframe each time. The River Park Ridgway Business Park PUD comprises approximately, and this is the overarching PUD, 141 acres, and it's situated at the north central area of the municipal boundary, just south of the secondary school, the high school. The PUD consists of medium density single family housing, low density multifamily residences, industrial and commercial properties, open space, and a trail network. A findings and decision approving the preliminary plat for the River Park Ridgway Business Park PUD was issued by the town council back in 2001. Since 2001, the developer has returned to the town and received final plat approvals on filing 1 and filing 2. The 2001 preliminary plat configuration for filing 3 consists, as I said before, of blocks 9 through 12 with the associated roads, infrastructure, easements, and hasn't yet been final platted. Let's see, and I think it was in 2008, there may have been a typo in the memo, sorry about that. 2008, the replat of block 8 and a small portion of block 2 was approved by town council. The replat was found to better align with the revised replat of filing 3 and also requires a few adjustments to filing 3. The filing 3 properties are zoned light industrial I1 or light industrial 1 per ordinance number 01-01 dated February 2001 and the PUD development agreement of April of that same year 2001. I said this already, I think this is the 7th request for extension of the previously approved and subsequently amended preliminary development plat. Each request resulted in an extension for 2 years. The current request would extend the preliminary plat approval to July 8th, 2024, since it currently expires on July 8th of this summer. So staff's recommending that any approval to extend the preliminary plat another typo in my notes, sorry. To extend the preliminary plat should be subject to all prior conditions of approval and other requirements associated with the PUD. And as a reminder, the town code does allow for extension of preliminary plat approvals for good cause, allows and affords council the ability to grant additional time to meet the conditions associated with the preliminary plat approval. So with that, again, this is a public hearing. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I believe the applicant's well represented to talk to the request.
Okay, first off, as a public hearing, it's a more formal. We'll allow council a moment to ask staff if they have any questions. And then we'll let the applicant, someone from the applicant team speak. And then we'll open it up to public comment. And then when that's done, close public comment, and I'll bring it back up here for deliberation. So Anybody have any questions for Preston up here on council?
I'm good on my end.
A lot of good. 12 years. Yeah, well, 12 anyway. Everybody good for now? Okay. Jack, you going to speak for the applicant? Go ahead.
Jack Petroselli, 540 Marion Overlook in Ridgway, Colorado. So I'm here to represent Glenn Paul's and Paul's family in Ridgway Light Industrial. We're really here to answer questions. We have proceeded quite far down the road since our last extension. We're hoping to break ground on the extension of Orr Street in March of 2022. So we have bids in place today. We have updated our plans and submitted them to Joanne and received back comments from Joanne and resubmitted to Joanne. So I think we're pretty close to approved plans to start construction. And again, we're hoping to start in March of 2022 this month, depending on the storm that's coming in. Our target date was March 15th, but we might miss it by a few weeks depending on the snow because we don't want to create a bunch of mud. So we're ready to go. We're nervous about COVID. This approval expires the first part of July, I think, and we're not afraid we're going to make it. So we're just applying for this so that we're not halfway through construction and running in here for an extension that we need for a couple of months. So that's why we're here. Again, we're ready to go, and we need the extension to make sure that we can get the construction done while we have the plat approved. So once we get approximately halfway through the construction, we're going to come in with a final plat. So I hope to have a final plat in front of council before construction's done or close to being done. So you'll have a chance to look at all of that. So any questions for me?
Do you have questions for Jack?
So I talked about making sure that we've updated some of our codes, and I assume that the work you're doing with Joanne right now is addressing all those things.
Yeah, we had approved plans from a long time ago, and we've resubmitted this with Joanne. Joanne asked us to bring it up to code, and that's all been approved. And I would say that we're 97 or 98% approved by this town of Ridgway on our plans. We're working on street lights and stuff like that. So we're down to the nitty gritty. And so we're ready to start. And we've talked to Joanne. Joanne said, would you go ahead and break ground and start moving dirt? So there's not a lot of utilities in that road. That road's expensive, but it only has one water line down. So it doesn't have water, sewer, and a lot of stuff in the road itself. So, and we're working with Telluride Foundation. We're helping them, and have had several meetings with Telluride Foundation, hoping to have the same contractor and the same engineering firms, and we might be working together and helping each other out with that. So that's also a negotiation, hoping to do it all as one project instead of two separate projects. And we've had real good communication with the Telluride Foundation, and they've asked us to help, and we have agreed, but we're not sure what all that means. So right now I'm soliciting bids we've got bids for us, and we're probably getting bids for them soon. And so it's moving forward the way it should.
Great, good. I see Joanne Fagan's hand up on Zoom. Joanne?
Yeah, we got plans for the first time early this week. I haven't quite gotten to them, so I think their enthusiasm for getting started, it's going to take a little bit of time. So just wanted everybody to be aware.
Okay, well, probably all the more reason to do this extension.
And Mayor, if I may, just to be clear, the submittal was updated engineering to make sure that it reflects the updated town standards and specifications. And ultimately we'll need to have a pre-construction meeting with Joanne and members of our public works crew. So there, like Joanne was saying, there's some steps, but certainly appreciate the eagerness.
Sounds good. Anybody have any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, I will open up the public comment portion of this public hearing. So anyone either here in the room or on Zoom can introduce themselves, give their address, and make your comment. If you have questions, you need to direct them to council, and we can either direct them from there to staff or the applicant. It's a kind of a clunky process, but that's the way the public hearing process works in Colorado. I don't see any hands up. Give it a couple more seconds. All right, looks like we don't have any public comments. So I will close the public comment section of this public hearing and bring it back up here for deliberation.
I guess I could, if I can do this correctly, I move to approve the extended preliminary plat dated December 27, 2022, as amended 2008, subject to all prior conditions of approval and other requirements associated with the plan and unit development staff. Period. Stop.
Well,
I'll second.
just for staff, does that motion need to include anything about updating court accordingly to reflect updated town standards?
No, sir, no.
Okay. All right, then we have a motion and a second on the floor. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Beck,
Aye.
Councilmember Graham-Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Lakin,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye. All right, there you go.
Just for, I mean, we're planning on moving. It's going to take us a couple of weeks just to move in. So we're hoping to have approved plans before we break ground, but there's a whole bunch of mobilization that has to happen.
Understood. Glad to hear you're working with the Telluride Foundation.
Yeah, that's going to work well.
That's good. Helpful all the way around. Okay, thank you. That takes us to, I still don't see anybody from the fire department on here. So we'll keep moving forward to policy matters. Item number 7 is resolution number 2203, amending police procedures manual to add section 27, eyewitness identification policy. Shane?
So as part of the, or good evening, and as part of the 2021 legislative session, they tried to clear up some of the issues that were as a result of House Bill 217 and clarify some information. And part of that was one of the big issues in there, or one of the things is what they call a show up identification. And what that is a show up is a procedure which an eyewitness is presented to a single subject in person for purposes of determining whether the eyewitness identifies the individual as a suspect or clears him as the suspect. And it creates a requirement and conditions that must be followed by law enforcement. So in review of our eyewitness policy, we didn't actually have one as part of the 2009 police procedures manual. So we came up with the comprehensive one, and we included all the requirements of House Bill 1142 from last year. We were supposed to enact this as of January 1st this year. We didn't realize that it was part of the requirement until earlier this year, and so we'd like to enter it now. We think the policy fits the needs of the community and the procedure, and qualifies under the House bill.
Great, thanks, Shane. Everybody's got the updated policy in your packet. I hope you've all looked at it, and if you have any questions for Shane. Or for
Is this a
staff.
substantial change from what our procedures were before, or just formalizing?
Actually, since I've been here, we've never used the eyewitness. But in this goes along with the standard we would use that I've used at other agencies that I've worked for. So,
That was my assumption. I was just curious.
yeah, but
It probably wasn't covered in the old manual, so it's just being.
yeah, and they did add a few things, you have to be pretty specific in not identifying the eyewitness to the suspect and stuff, which we always do before in procedures, but this way it's on paper.
Yeah.
All four
Clarifies it. So,
eyes dotted, T's crossed.
yeah, and it gives a little more weight to the suspect in the fact that it kind of clarifies, things you can do and can't do that might help an eyewitness identify somebody that maybe they weren't really sure of. So.
Yeah, it seems to make sense to me, and like you say, it's mainly just to meet a requirement in that House bill that passed last year. So, anybody in the audience have any questions for Shane or staff or council on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I move
Go
to,
ahead.
I move to approve resolution number 2022-03, amending the police procedures manual to add section 27.
Second. All right, seconded by Russ. Motion by Beth. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Beck,
Aye.
Bramley.
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye.
There you go. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Preston, you're watching for people asking to get in.
Yes.
Just a second. So still seeing none, we'll go right along to item number 8, resolution number 2022-04, appointment of interim municipal court judge. Nobody's name on this, but I assume you're handling it. And basically, I know that the issue is that our existing municipal court judge has moved away, or if he hasn't moved, he gave his resignation a while ago. So this is probably just to fill the gap until we get somebody on board.
That's right. And I think I just forgot to write Bo's name on the agenda. So Bo, take it away, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Preston. You're exactly correct. Unfortunately, County Court Judge Mr. Zach Martin is relocating to the state of Vermont. The process for finding his appointment has taken a little bit longer than was initially anticipated. So the goal here is to allow for Jacques Fleming and Anna Cooling with Fleming and Lowenberg to fill in as municipal court judge for the town for the foreseeable future until there is at the very least for the next 2 months, or until there's a replacement that's appointed.
Thanks, Bo. This one's pretty straightforward. We need a municipal court judge, so we need to do the paperwork to give us that. Anybody have any questions up from council for Bo on this one?
Just a curiosity question, who appoints the new county court judge?
It's appointed by the governor. There's the 7th Judicial District makes a recommendation. There were 2 applicants that applied, and then one dropped out, and so they've reposted, and so they're going through the interview process again.
Okay, thanks.
Any questions from the audience? Anybody on Zoom or here in the room?
You don't have to be an attorney, so if anybody's interested, you can certainly throw your hat into the ring.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is it just town of Ridgway that appoints, does Ray County and Ray City have to?
This is just for the appointment of the town of Ridgway Municipal Court Judge.
And what historically what we've done is there will have to be a county judge appointed, and then usually what happens is that the city of Ray and the town of Ridgway piggyback on that for efficiency purposes. So that's
Usually all the same person.
Exactly, but it doesn't have to be. So could go either way. But at least I think that's right, isn't it, Bo?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. We've traditionally done that just because it ties in well with using the municipal court clerk as the county court clerk as the municipal county court clerk, and scheduling and making the courtroom available. But it can certainly be whomever the council would wish to appoint.
Well, in the meantime, we're going to have an interim one. So
I move we approve resolution number 2022-04, appointing alternative judges to preside over Ridgway Municipal Court for March and April of 2022.
Just the long ones.
Second. Okay, seconded by Terry. Motion made by Beth. Roll call vote, please.
Council members Beck,
Aye.
Ramley.
Aye.
Lincoln,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye. All right, passes unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, both. Moving right along to item number 9. Review and direction on the establishment of the Town of Ridgway Sustainability Committee. Preston's going to go into the details, but I just want to make the point that we're all aware that we've had some public comment sessions in recent months where citizens have reached out to us asking us to do more on the climate change issue and potentially create a committee like either a climate change committee or sustainability committee was mentioned. And Preston and I talked about this, and this is what he's come up with as a suggestion. So take it away, Preston.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, thanks for laying that out. This is simply a starting point. So ultimately, staff's looking for some direction on the establishment of a sustainability committee. And certainly that nomenclature could be different. More background on the idea, like Mayor Clark was touching on, and some suggested details for consideration are in the memo before you. And they're simply just starting points. If you all elect to direct staff to further explore this, we'll take any input provided tonight and then research advisory committees of similar nature in other jurisdictions before drafting a formal authority and procedures, and then a resolution for you all to consider adopting that would create an advisory committee. The recommendation from staff is that the goals and scope be clearly defined and that the committee be purely advisory in nature and have no appropriation or spending authority. That would be in line with other committees of the town council currently and part of the course in other communities that I've seen. Specific goals could include, and I'm just going to be reading off of what's in the memo, but
Maybe you could put up that memo for us. And soon, maybe if it's not too much trouble. Thank you.
I'll have it open on the computer, so
Sorry.
so I have to do for the moment, but some goals and responsibilities could be to advance and encourage environmentally sustainable practices and ideas within the town, advise the town council to effectuate improvements to the town code, operations and facilities on matters regarding sustainable practices, resource conservation, renewable energy, waste reduction, public outreach, and education. Collaborate with town staff to continue to implement the goals and objectives identified in the Ridgway County and San Miguel County Regional Climate Action Plan, work in cooperation with other town boards and committees to promote all things sustainability, and promote sustainability awareness at town events or at the request of other groups, interested individuals. And, you know, if you go through the memo, there's some other details on eligibility requirements, membership and term, rules and regulations, rules governing meeting structure, etc. So again, this is simply a starting point, but wanted to float the idea and see if there's buy-in from town council to further explore.
Great, thanks, Preston. I think it bears reiterating that in conversation that Preston and I had, Preston brought up the fact that the existing Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee is a vibrant committee, but doesn't have a lot of stuff on their agenda on a regular basis. And the makeup of the committee would really make a pretty good fit for this. And I'm guessing that all the members of that, existing members of that committee would be pretty happy to take on this sort of expanded role. I don't know if you reached out to any of them yet, but
I did, wrote a note to them, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago, inviting them to participate in this conversation. The only one I heard back, the only member I heard back from was Mr. Dave Jones. And he was actually, I don't want to speak for Dave, but he was very excited about the prospect. And I know he has a ton of ideas and ready to run with this, but I haven't heard from other members of the group. We're trying to set the next meeting with the Parks Committee later this month, and we'll further discuss it then. But I thought the appropriate first step would be to talk to town council.
Yeah, and I just think it bears repeating again that you know, I think this is a great idea, given what's going on in the world today and the feedback we've been getting from a number of concerned citizens. Same time, I think it's you know, we're a small town with a small staff with limited resources, and to have an additional committee in this forum is going to be or could be kind of a strain. So I really am excited about the idea of sort of, as Preston puts in the memo, repurposing the existing Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee to become the Sustainability Committee and keep the same number of committees we have now. What do you guys have to, any input from you?
No, it seems like a good thing if the Parks, Trails, and Open Spaces Committee wants to do that. Seems like a good fit.
In full disclosure, as a result of the strategic objectives that we passed recently, looking at net zero for new construction, there was a subcommittee formed by the Rock Clean Energy Committee, which I've been participating in. Just again, full disclosure, it's been named the Zebra Committee, which stands for Zero Energy Building in the Ridgway area. So this would effectively displace the need for that committee in some respects. Dave Jones, of course, is on that committee, and so he's, as you said, full of lots of good ideas. So I'm just not surprised that he is in support of this, and I certainly am as well.
It certainly would demand that Zebra disband, because this would be a town committee where we're looking at, you know, town policies and procedures, and obviously anything that the sustainability committee recommends is going to have to come to council. Versus then Zebra would have their own ability to approach council in support of, in support
approach this
or
committee. Actually.
Either way.
The Zebra Committee has been doing a lot of research on, you know, the background and, you know, potential roadmap and some of the, you know, pros and cons and objectives and deadlines. So it's consistent with it. For sure.
Well, I see Dave is on Zoom call under Ridgway Area Community Council. So Dave, did you want to add anything?
No, I don't think so. And I'm sorry I came in as Ridgway URA Community Council. I don't see how to change that, but I used their Zoom thing lately, and it's branded me. But no, I love the idea, and I have been looking at some other towns, cities around the country, looking at what is a sustainability council and what are others doing with it. And so I applaud the idea. I agree, though, that I think it's a way to pull together a lot of things that are happening in the Ridgway area and not necessarily take them over. So, you know, it could be that the Zebra Committee continues to do its work, but interfaces with the Sustainability Committee on the way to brief this group on, you know, different ideas. So,
yeah, no, I think that makes good sense. Just like the Clean Energy Committee has been in operation for a number of years and has been serving sort of the same role. So I think that makes good sense.
Yeah, a lot of sustainability committees around the country have a number of different subcommittees. And so, for instance, you know, agriculture in town, suburban agriculture, you know, and that would bring in your community garden and your apiary and maybe your trees, and then water. And that could be how our local UWP feeds in. So a lot of different committees that add together to toward that sustainability goal, I think.
Sounds good. I see Jake Neese has his hand up. Jake?
Yeah, I think another place for that committee to participate would be in Colorado Communities for Climate Action, of which Ridgway is a member. And so it would be great to have folks from that committee weighing in on legislative issues.
I agree. Anyone else? All right, well, I would guess that there's definite consensus up here for proceeding with this. I don't think we need a motion at this point for this, just for direction.
No, just direction.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I just saw
Thumbs up.
I saw a bunch of thumbs up. See one from Kevin, 2 thumbs up from Adam. There we go.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. I'm excited.
So if I may, just to be clear, we'll take the input and, as I was saying before, draft an authority and procedures to attach to a resolution to bring back before council, hopefully at the April meeting.
Okay, great. Thanks, Preston. And thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
That takes us to still nobody from the fire department, right? I don't see anybody. All right, we'll just keep moving along. Item number 10, review and action, excuse me, on contribution request from the Home Trust of Uray County. It's got Andrew Sokolowski's name on here, who's the president of the Home Trust. Did you want to oh, she's here in person, just walked in. We're just putting up your item. Perfect. Really perfect.
Oh, no,
Do you want to
it's Andrea's forum. She penned the letter in the packet. Hopefully you had a chance to read it. And Andrea, the floor is yours.
Great.
Take it away.
Thanks for having me, and I'll just basically read off the requests that I wrote you guys, and then if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So in case, for those of you that don't know about the Home Trust of Uray County, we're a 501c3 nonprofit affordable housing organization for the town of Ridgway, the city of Uray, and the county of Uray. Our mission is to grow an inclusive, economically diverse community by providing permanently affordable homes and rentals for modest income households through the stewardship of community assets. The Home Trust is pursuing a more broad community land trust model than the traditional model, which we think will be more sustainable both for our organization and also meet the needs of the county. We will be developing and acquiring homeownership and rental units, developing community resources like childcare facilities, managing deed restrictions if needed, and administering a revolving homebuyer assistance fund, which was started at another town meeting with Joel Cantor's 50,000. We hope to grow that through a campaign to 250,000 so that we can disperse it to more people. So just real quick, how the community land trust model works on our land that we own. The Home Trust offers both homeownership and rental opportunities. We maintain affordability and steward the land with a ground lease in lieu of a deed restriction. They do similar things. In this way, investments in our housing, the grants and the donations remain invested as a community asset in perpetuity. Homeowners are able to build limited equity in their home, and then when the home is sold, the sales price is determined by a resale formula in the land lease. This ensures that affordable housing is available to future generations, and homes are only sold to other income qualified applicants. The Home Trust is interested in serving the town of Ridgway's affordable housing needs in a myriad of ways. We've partnered with Habitat for Humanity of San Juan's to be our general contractor on our first donated property, a duplex in the Parkside subdivision. We have recently applied for land acquisition funding from DOLA's turnkey fund to purchase a property in Ridgway that we could build up to 8 rental units and an accessory childcare facility. We are also beginning the process of a home buyer assistance program, as you guys know. We would like to have this be a revolving loan fund that could distribute up to $10,000 per qualified affordable unit, which would be due upon resale of the home, which then ensures that the investment stays in the community rather than go with the buyer. We are working towards growing our capacity with a limited partnership with Elevation Community Land Trust. They are a CLT with a staff of 12 based in Denver that was seeded with $24 million by the Gates Family Foundation and the Colorado Health Foundation. We are looking into contracting with them to perform back office functions, like including accounting, legal services, as well as homebuyer education and applicant management. We are also in conversation with a financial consultant who could act as a contract CFO, helping us raise debt and equity capital for our development projects, as well as assisting us with financial modeling and pro forma creation. We are receiving a grant in May from Alpamar and are in the process of reaching out to other foundations for capital and operating grants. The Gates Family Foundation is interested in being involved in the Ridgway rental childcare project in particular. They have said that they could potentially offer up to $25,000 for that project. And then we are also in conversation with Colorado Health Foundation, who is also very interested in that rental childcare project. So once the Home Trust secures some operational funding, we can apply for more operational funding through a DOLA program and to basically become a community housing development organization. It's called CHODO. And so the purpose of getting some operational funds is to be able to apply for this program that is specifically for operational funds for organizations like community land trusts. But we must show that we have capacity and that we have local support in order to apply. So we have a rough estimate. We would be starting small with one full-time. We could potentially start as a part-time position if that is something that is more amenable to the entities involved. But rough estimate would be for an executive director position, insurance, software, property taxes. We would love to start contracting with some of these consultants to help us with this back office function, and then marketing and office supplies. And I'm working on a draft operational budget right now, but approximately $100,000. That's for a full-time executive director position. And so this Home Trust has asked the city of Ouray for operational support, and the city of Ouray is open to the idea. Ethan Funk mentioned at the meeting that he would prefer it if both the town of Ridgway and the county also provided some support. And then Silas mentioned that they need to first collect some data on what the revenues will be from that excise tax. And so he's thinking he won't need my operational budget until probably end of this month, early April, and that way they can get some data on that excise tax revenue. This financial support from the town of Ridgway would greatly assist us in our mission of building and managing community assets and affordable housing in our area. The Home Trust is your local affordable housing nonprofit, and we are dedicated to creating affordable workforce housing and maintaining the affordability and perpetuity through long-term stewardship of these community assets. Our goal really is to strengthen and fortify our communities and ensure that they are income diverse so that they meet the needs of our businesses, our governments, and our neighbors. Home Trust appreciates all of the affordable housing efforts made thus far by the town of Ridgway Council and staff. And thank you for your time. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Great, thanks, Andrea. Does anybody have any questions for Andrea? I think I'm really excited about the Home Trust. you guys have to offer, both already in the works and in potential. Looking at our affordable housing line item in the budget, which we budgeted 35 grand this year. If we earmarked any of that.
For nothing, we haven't earmarked any of it for anything specific.
Right.
Andrew, how would you mentioned a campaign to raise as much as 250,000. What does that campaign look like? Is that just an outreach to philanthropists or?
I think yes, at this point in time, it would be reaching out, creating a pitch deck and kind of more one-on-ones, reaching out to some community members that may have better contacts than we do and having them reach out to those that they know. But we would also be really interested in speaking with, anybody in the town of Ridgway, John, yourself, seeing if we can come up with a list of folks and, brainstorming basically on who we could reach out to. Yeah, because we'd really love to make sure that fund is substantial and that it can really be distributed to any and all who need help with basically more or less the down payment assistance for their mortgages or to contribute towards that, both in the town of Ridgway, in the city of Uray, and in the county.
What's the name of the upcoming event that we,
What's that?
the nonprofit convention or the event?
Ridgway Rural Philanthropy Days.
Right, I assume that's going to be a good forum for you to present.
Yeah, we're gonna have a tent at that one, and I'm actually on the steering committee for that.
Great.
Yeah, so yes, I think it's gonna be really exciting and an opportunity to meet a lot more funders and folks that, could help. So.
Well, like I said, I think we have some money earmarked to go towards affordable housing efforts in general in the budget, and I don't know if anybody up here has a thought, starting number, and certainly depending on how things go, we could probably hopefully be able to contribute in future years as well. I don't know if it's sort of like a chicken and the egg thing. I definitely agree with Mayor Funk and Uray that things like this have always worked well when all three entities in the county agree to contribute. Whether or not that's on an equal footing or not is always a question. So I guess I just open it up to say what you guys think.
I think this is a good cause. I think it's worthy. I think it's something we need. I would want to look at exactly when we set that money aside, we had some things that we talked about and using that for. And I want to make sure that we're not leaving any of that potentially high and dry before we commit. So that would be my only concern, but as to how much, but I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think you can count on a contribution. I'm thinking we might want to kind of say, yes, we will definitely contribute, but maybe we want to wait and see what the other entities commit in an amount to know whether we can match that or increase it.
Yeah, if I may, Mayor, Russ, I think you guys hit it on the head. Definitely want to, I would recommend being conservative with that dollar amount, given some of the things in the pipeline. And if I may, I would pose it to Andrea. Do you have a specific amount that because you didn't put it in the letter, you didn't read a specific amount being requested. Was there
is there a number you were mentioning?
Is there a number you were thinking?
I did not have a specific number in mind. I think for us, it's just a really good jumping off point to get to be able to apply for that CHODO operating funding. And so I think it's up to you guys. And also, we want to provide a service to you. So it's really, what do you need from us? And then we can kind of figure out like the funding, I think, to some degree based on that. So
Helpful.
Yeah, I definitely look at this. in every way as a partnership and a way to help us accomplish what we want to accomplish, and as well as the other communities in the county to do the same. And we all have the same goal to try and create as much workforce housing as possible. So,
And you guys are clearly committed to housing that is actually attainable for people. I know a lot of us on this council have been really frustrated with what is deemed affordable and for who that is actually for and who can afford to move in. Yeah, I feel like someone's gonna pick a number. I feel like we're playing chicken, but I can't figure out what number to start with.
The operational expenses, you identified 100K for supplies and staff. That was assuming that you were getting money from DOLA then? You need seed funding in order to attract that, or is that a different?
That was, I think, are you referring to the grant for a specific project that they're working on?
No, not that, just the operation sheet.
Oh, the operation.
It was approximately 100,000 operational funds, including salary.
Yeah, we're hoping to get a substantial amount of that from the Chodo funding. And so we may not, really then depending too on how much they're willing to fund. And so we may end up starting off with a part-time position, and then, as our work grows, the position grows, or then it becomes 2 positions and things like that. So.
well, I mean, I'll throw out that I think it should be at least minimum of $5,000 that we're willing to contribute, and maybe between 5 and 10, depending on how things go.
That sounds about right to me. That's the money we have set aside. If we have anyone approach us about waiving tap fees or whatnot, like we have to pay for them. So like that's something we've done with that money in the past.
Underwriting tap.
Underwriting. We're
Offsetting
moving from
underwriting,
one,
yes.
they have to be paid for.
Yeah, totally.
And that would be things like Telluride. We fully anticipate with their project that they're going to come to us for tap fees. And so,
That's going to be a big
we're supporting what you're doing, we're also supporting what they're doing. So it's just, this is what we've got set aside, and we have to kind of parse this out.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that you've got more than one entity, which is awesome. But yeah, I would expect you guys to, or I would hope that you guys would support all of the affordable housing efforts. So.
We're trying.
Jack, you wanted to throw some out?
I just wanted to remind the council before they spent their money that we have a stalled affordable housing project in town that's been under construction for almost 18 months right now with the Habitat, and they're having real trouble getting finished and looking for volunteers. So I don't want you to forget about them.
I wasn't aware that they were stalled.
Well, they've been under construction for 18 months and they don't even have siding up.
Okay, well,
Probably should do a drive-by or a phone
Is it
call.
lack of funding or lack of volunteer labor?
It's definitely volunteer labor.
Liz has a furrow brow on this one.
I don't know about the funding. I haven't talked to Eric in some time. I think it's,
Yeah, well,
it's definitely labor.
I have a good relationship with Erica. I think she would have reached out to me if she was like struggling to try. But I will reach out to her.
Yeah, I'll reach out to her. I've been looking at it. I'm concerned about it because it's it needs to get finished.
Yeah.
Well, and just, so Erica is no longer the executive director.
Oh, is that right?
That's the problem.
That's interesting. Okay, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. I don't know if they've hired a new, I know that they were in the hiring process.
Yeah,
But,
they're working on it.
Okay.
You were aware of that?
Yeah, I probably learned about it at the same time, at the same meeting, not that long ago.
Yeah.
Trying to divulge that, but I'm not sure it's supposed to be broadcasted, but I think.
She's definitely, yeah, she's now fully in her position.
She's okay.
Yeah. So.
Andrea, another possible source to look at is with SMPA, they have a quarterly community focused grant program
Oh,
that the board of directors decides on. So I would encourage you to contact Marty Joe Davis at SMPA.
Marty Joe Davis.
Marty Joe Davis, I can connect you with that. And then there's a annual Sharing Success Grant Program, which we just gave $20,000 to Telluride Foundation in the Voyager program. That comes up annually. That just happened. So that's going to be another 8 or 9 months before that's totally done.
Okay. No, that's great.
Some other sources to look at.
Sure. Thank you.
So I can jump in real quick.
Yeah.
From staff's perspective, I'm really excited about the home trust. Right now, we only have one active deed restriction in the town of Ridgway. That number is slated to grow given what's in the pipeline. And I cannot wait for the day that the home trust gets to manage all those deed restrictions on behalf of the town of Ridgway. So just given the sheer number that it may very well be. That said, I would venture to say that a number doesn't necessarily have to be pinpointed tonight. I want to put that on Andrea. It sounds like there's general support from council to support the home trust as this further evolves. And I'm wondering if that suffices currently. And maybe as it further evolves, we'll be able to pinpoint, maybe what you're thinking in terms of a subsidy from the town of Ridgway and all the other jurisdictions too, Uray County, City of Uray. I'm thinking out loud now, but I think that would be most helpful. To kind of aid the discussion and what the town could provide. Want to also say we're cautious with my words. We're at a disadvantage a little bit because we don't have a dedicated revenue source for things like this, for affordable housing, like the City of Uray now does with the short-term rental, or kind of does short-term rental excise tax. So that's something to weigh too, for what it's worth. But
I was kind of leaning that way too, to just say to you, we definitely don't think there's any doubt. Everybody up here, 2 members on Zoom, are fully supportive of supporting you guys financially in any way we can, but maybe not actually naming a solid number tonight, but giving ourselves a month or so to try and figure out what that could be. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that works for me, and that's wonderful, and thank you so much. And we really look forward to partnering with you guys and making sure that whatever your needs are met. Deed restrictions, the home buyer opportunity fund, whatever we can do, we're happy to do it. So
great. I see a hand up from Mark.
Well, that's Mark Hitchcock's probably. Go ahead, Mark.
Yes, I would just like to thank you guys for your support and just really praise Andrea. She's sort of the champion that we haven't had for the past 20 years that I've been sort of around the whole affordable housing issue. And then I did want to point out that there are 4 of us here from the board of the Home Trust. So she has a lot of support from us and we appreciate support from you guys.
Great, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Anyone else, either in the room or on Zoom, want to make a comment or ask a question? Okay, then it seems like this isn't something we need a motion on because we're not actually committing any specific funds at this point, but you've got solid consensus that we will support you to the ends of the earth any way we can.
thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Really appreciate it. All righty, then that takes us to item number 11, I believe. Consideration of authorizing myself, Mayor Clark, to sign a letter to legislators expressing opposition to proposals mandating collective bargaining for all public employees. This has my name on it. From what I understand, CML, Colorado Municipal League, is really kind of championing this effort because of its potential for a serious impact on public employee municipal government relationships. And believe I'm not speaking out of turn to even say that the governor has said publicly that he wouldn't sign a collective bargaining.
So I can't hear. Johnny said he would not.
He would not. So we're just the CML's asked municipalities across the state to submit a letter of this kind, and this would go to our Senator Coram and our Representative McLaughlin. So what do you guys think? Any questions, comments from up here?
I'm supportive of the letter. Trying to understand why CML would want to push something like this.
CML.
What's that, Russ?
Trying to understand why CML would want to push something like this.
I think it's that the
unfunded mandate part.
Yeah, it's that it would have serious potential financial impacts on municipalities to have collective bargaining
The CML is not in favor of the.
Okay, I misunderstood that. I thought
they-
the CML was supporting.
Oh, support.
No,
Okay,
they're
very good.
driving the effort
I
to
got
get
you.
letters
I
like
got you.
this submitted.
Okay.
Sorry if I misspoke.
No, I might misunderstand.
Okay.
So, yeah, supporting the letter.
I think the letter's appropriately crafted.
Okay. Anybody on Zoom have any comments or questions?
I'm good. I'm in support with it.
I'm in support. I'm good.
Motion second then.
I'll move to approve Mayor Clark sending the attached letter to Senator Don Corn, representing Barbara McClellan.
Motion made by Russ, seconded by Terry. Roll call, please.
Council members Beck,
Aye.
Bramley.
Aye.
Bacon. Skylar.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye.
All right, passed unanimously. Is that it? Yeah. Went through that one. Get the town manager's report. Still nobody from the fire department here, right?
No. And I'll just talk to that real quick a little bit because I spoke with Mr. Charles Mueller as well. And it's pretty self-explanatory, I think, on the agenda. They're looking for, the way I understood it, to be classified in the same category as I think the Ridgway School District in terms of water rate. And that was the request. I don't know that I got it a substantive answer from Mr. Mueller when we were talking about the impetus for the request and how much water the fire district uses. And I think that was kind of part of why they were going to be here tonight, to be able to provide more information. So perhaps they'll be wanting to come to the next meeting to further.
I've been approached by some members of the fire department with some concerns about water and what they're being asked to do. And I would see if we could please reschedule with Katie and see if we could bring some of those issues in front and bring them up for discussion.
Sure.
This forum.
I assume it's use at their facilities as opposed to the hydrants and so forth. Right? That's why they need to be here to clarify.
Yeah, exactly. But from what I understood, it was drawing water at their facility, which they're on to pay for, to fill up their trucks, to just use for exercises and just operations.
Do they have access to our non-potable water down at the 4-H center if they were to fill up trucks for exercises?
I don't believe so.
See, those are the discussions we need to have. Like, they don't need to fill their trucks with treated drinking water. Like, it's a larger discussion. And, in an emergency situation, like whatever water, it's all on board. But, those are those types of questions about, what water, where it should be coming from, the cost. So.
Yeah, I'm just curious if there was miscommunication or something, but certainly we can revisit this at the April meeting. I imagine that would be adequate. It's not like it's an emergency, right?
No, I don't believe so, but we'll get in touch with them and ask them to come to the next meeting. Any modification to rate structure would require an ordinance and have to go before council. Kind of straightforward stuff. And they understand that, but we'll try to get them at the next meeting.
Okay. All right, then that takes us to written and verbal reports. Our main one, of course, being the town manager's report. And as always, Preston, I'll let you touch on any highlights in the report that you want to point out, or if anybody has any questions about anything in the report. Why don't we go ahead and let Preston touch on the highlights.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I'll start talking for a while and we'll wait till Liz has questions on it. Nothing? All right. Lena Street North project is out to bid. We'll look to have a pre-bid meeting here on the 17th. Bids are due on the 24th of March, and the aim is to have a notice of award before council for your April meeting. And hopefully have a contractor ready to go sooner rather than later this summer. So that remains to be seen.
Great.
Let's see, thanks to Ms. Joanne Fagan. She put together an application to the Revitalizing Main Streets Program Small Multimodal and Economic Resiliency Grant. requesting $150,000 to support a portion of that Main Street improvement project, Main Street North project. So huge thank you and kudos to Joanne for largely putting that grant together. We got confirmation that it was received, but they hadn't reviewed it yet as of Monday evening. So we'll see. The speed radar signs for Highway 62, one westbound, one eastbound, have been ordered. They're the result of the Marshall and I meeting with Julie Constant, Region 5 Transportation Director. And then I don't remember the name of the safety engineer, traffic safety engineer we met with, but she was very nice. And it resulted in these signs being ordered by CDOT, who will reimburse CDOT based on an MOU that we entered into with them. Unfortunately, the ship date is estimated at May 6th. Not much we can do about that, but hopefully that can be a little bit sooner. But excited that they're on order.
Personally, I don't recognize the mile markers. Where are they going to be looking? I mean,
You don't recognize the mileposts.
yeah, the 22.5 is really through me.
Yeah, and Shane might need to help me out, but the one going westbound was actually, like, I took a little snapshot of the document that they kind of proposed. That would be right in front of the old
In front of the new alt space building.
yeah, in front of the new one. Exactly. And then eastbound, right past Amelia Street, going east, right, Shane?
It'll be right at Elizabeth and Sherman.
Elizabeth,
Right there on the corner.
Shoot, I hate to throw a wrench in it, but I was hoping that they both would be up there on the west end of town, because I think what we all have seen is that as soon as people get past Laura Street on 62 heading west, that's when they tend to put the pedal to the metal.
Well, especially as you're getting to the schools at school crossing there, that's a big concern issue for me.
The going westbound or going?
Well, that's from both directions, closer to the area. They could be, granted, they could, the westbound one could probably be moved a bit further east, but I would want to see the eastbound one be
Up the hill.
west of it, right, up the hill.
Is there a possibility for 3? Two?
They're about $5,000 each. So right now it's 2, but we can visit again with CDOT reps and see,
I don't know how it was decided as to where they would go.
it was a little bit collective. I mean, it was Shane and I in the meeting, and then her name's Allison. Allison is the traffic safety engineer, and Julie Constant. And so it was a collaborative effort to determine the spots. I mean, we did talk quite a bit about the crosswalk area, and there's a pretty heavy signage there already. There's kind of a lot going on there, but like you're saying, Russ, like right after they get through there is the deal. So I think we had pinpointed what we did, thinking that it would help a little bit. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Shane, but we're not precluded from buying more down the line. If you all think we need to.
And I'm not saying those are the wrong locations. That's where I've heard the majority of concerns from citizens is in the area.
I'd agree on that. I mean, you can hear people accelerating when they hit Mary. I mean, it's pedal to the metal. I took the 25-mile-an-hour signs right there. They're usually slowing down through town and then speeding up after they're, past our area.
I would be interested though, just, those signs do tend to emphasize that a community is serious about their speed limit. So even if it is located further east for westbound traffic, it's certainly not going to solve all the problems, but I think, it is a reminder that, you just turned off of 550 and it is 25. I'm not entirely unconvinced that it won't be helpful further west on Sherman, but also we do have a large amount of pedestrian traffic in the downtown core, and protecting that makes sense too.
Yeah, I guess, maybe, as Terry says, maybe we need more. My feeling is from just all of the walking around town and the bicycling around town I do, is that people tend to, because there's so much going on downtown, when they come over the bridge, they don't tend to be going as fast as they do when they hit Laura and Mary going west. And Russ's point about maybe even putting the eastbound one up the hill a little ways from the pedestrian crosswalk. I mean, I guess really it kind of starts sounding like we should budget for a couple more at some point.
Are these the type that blink red and blue, or does it just display the?
They blink when you're over the
The speed. And one of the concerns about putting them any further west is you go from 45 to 30 to 25 in a short span there. They have the flashing 30-mile-an-hour sign. And then in kind of one of my things is to get them to 25 in town, to put it past the crosswalk, because there's one right on the other side of the crosswalk and the flashing lights there. And then if we put it on further down to get them to slow down coming in.
The rest of the way through town, because you've already got significant signage on your way in.
Because
Sure.
she doesn't hit 25 until, I mean, you're almost at Amelia, right? Before it comes to 25.
I think like you said, I think it's just past the crosswalk.
Just on it's just on the other side of the crosswalk, it drops to 25 because it goes 30. And then you also have the flashing when the school zone is, you have the flashing 20 there. So there's a lot of signage right in that area.
That makes sense.
What do you think about moving this westbound one up to Mary or Laura Street?
Well, that was kind of in our discussions with them, the initial discussions, and they were talking about the distance of the signs, the one at 25 there at Mary, and then there's no sign until you get on the other side of the crosswalk. We kind of had that discussion, and they were talking about replacing that 25 sign or putting another one in there based on CDOT's recommendation for spacing and that kind of stuff. And what we're seeing a lot is when they come off 550 on the 62, they seem to accelerate because the placement of the 25 sign in front of the old Second Chance house is clear over on the other side of the sidewalk. And so it's not in line of sight. And so my thoughts when Preston and I discussed it and kind of with the engineers is to put one there to where it gets them slowed down coming through town, because they seem to accelerate until they get to like North Railroad. Seems to be where they finally realize, because there's another sign in that area, they realized to slow down to 25. So we were hoping to kind of, like notify them it's 25 with the sign showing their speed coming off 550 onto 62 in that area. It's kind of the thought process there.
That all makes good sense. And I think, if we've already worked this out, we should proceed, but yeah, keep in mind that we may want to add more.
I think we might want to look at getting another one for the west end of town heading west.
Shane, I have a dumb question. Is it a CDOT engineering reason that we have to go to 30 and then 25? Why can't we just go straight to 25 before you come into town?
Coming down the hill.
I'm not sure.
Because I slow down to 25 there because I'm a jerk and I like the people who are riding my tail to have to slow down.
Truth, girl.
Yeah.
But like, it's not, I'm being totally facetious, but I love the people who are at a rush and I'm like, this is my town, you're gonna go slow. But it's always just kind of, I understand, I'm wondering if there's a procedural thing for them that it has to go through a slower speed, but.
All I know is that their motto is keep traffic moving. That's like, it might even be their official mission statement.
Well, and in our initial discussions too, they were talking about the distance from the 45 to the first 30 sign is beyond their model, but we haven't seen them out there drilling holes in other signs.
So.
Let's just take the 31 down and put a 25 up. That's all I'm saying.
Or, I mean, I've always wondered why we have that 30 with the flashing lights around it, when that would probably be better, more efficient as one of these.
Or
If you're gonna
even,
put an electric sign there, let's put one that actually gets people to slow down.
or even they make the warning ones that are like 25 with the arrow, like 25 ahead. Like it, you're going to need to slow down more.
Yeah, that's what the 30 is.
Is it?
So at the end of the day, it wasn't just a one
Yeah.
or two time
Oh, no.
conversation. We'll continue to chat with CDOT. They recognize there were some other, some other items or devices they could maybe deploy, especially on the west end of town that could help, but that's gonna have to evolve further for more conversations.
Yeah, the only other thing about putting one in front of the alt center is if they actually put in a roundabout there, like.
So I'm glad you mentioned that.
The oblong about.
From a personal perspective, I know a lot of us walk that crosswalk from the north side of the street, Hartwell Park, to the south side of the street, like where Cimarron Coffee is. Just today, I was walking across the Cimarron Coffee, people coming westbound, some of them were motoring through. You know, I'm not really that scared, so I just like walk and just assume they're gonna slow down. But I cannot wait for tomorrow's TPR meeting to plug the roundabout, which there's actually an item on the agenda for new projects to be floated based on how I read the agenda. I'm meeting with Commissioner Tisdale an hour before the meeting to just game plan and make sure we're on the same page with stuff. We'll definitely float that idea. Not sure how it'll be met, but try to paint the picture of what we're dealing with. And you're right, I think an oblong about, a roundabout, whatever we call it.
Let's just call it the roundabout.
Yeah.
It certainly help. Shane and I floated the idea to Julie Constant. And I don't remember what she said exactly, but I remember her saying, that sounds cool. Talk to the TPR, you know, it's like,
Good.
so.
Good.
But that meeting's tomorrow, so we'll definitely plug
I
in.
mean, that, I
Putting a
think that's-
different hat on, have you looked into how you're gonna power these? Because there's no, it probably had to be a metered service. We do have lighting tariffs that we could use, like the 30-mile-an-hour flashing one is actually its own tariff. It's the only light in Ridgway that's on a tariff from SMPA. So getting electric power to these things, that's gonna be an expense.
To the signs.
Yeah. Well, they learn what you're gonna tap
Yeah, they're
into.
solar powered.
Well, they are solar.
Yeah.
They're solar powered. Well, perfect.
And
One of the other features that we did get on them is the data collection. And so we can use that and put it in and use that to figure if we think, maybe we need to move them or the potential for putting in more. We can use that data to kind of model, if they are effective and that kind of stuff too, or if another placement of them might be.
Cool, awesome. That's
Fantastic.
great. It's good.
Thank you for taking
Does it
the.
get license numbers too?
No, I'm not gonna go as far as cameras, taking photos and stuff.
No, I get it.
Thank you for taking the roundabout to TPR, Preston. I think we all know that that's something we don't have a whole lot of other solutions that I can think of to handle that situation.
I'm amazed it took as long as it did to think of it, because it's a brilliant solution for that.
I think so too. I came from the Capitol roundabouts in Avon. If you've ever been to Avon, it's like 19 roundabouts. It's an exaggeration, but there's a lot of roundabouts. So they definitely work to slow people down.
Having just been in Carbondale, there's several in
a lot
Carbondale.
there, yeah.
They're really, really efficient.
Just keep rolling through some of this. I'll just highlight this one and then let you guys ask questions. HB 21-1271, the DOLA Innovative Housing Strategies Incentives Grant Program Catalyst Round funding application was submitted this last Friday, requesting $750,000 to support the infrastructure components for the Yellow Brick Lane Telluride Foundation Rural Homes. Never know what to call that project on western half of Block 30. Excited that we were even offered the opportunity to apply. So I guess we'll just stay tuned on that. But a good chunk of money.
Excuse me, will that cover all of the infrastructure needs or is that in excess of?
Good question. I don't believe it'll cover the entirety.
Was Telluride Foundation looking to us to donate some of that? I can't recall. I know that came up It's in your power.
They have not asked us to donate anything at this point.
Not at this point. I think you all can expect a series of requests for them at the appropriate time, either preliminary plat, maybe final plat submittal. They'll be requesting some waivers on stuff, I'm sure. So.
More to come on that.
Yeah. Well, this will help.
Thanks, Kristen. Lots of great information here. The guys from Art Space were in town last week, and I met Greg Foley, who's going to be there. He is their director of asset management, and he ran the first Zoom session to talk to people interested in leasing, and that's going to proceed forthwith. That flood insurance rate map and flood insurance study update is available, and that's a big deal.
Comments are due the 18th.
Good to see Graywater on the agenda, on the plan there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'm curious, is staff planning on submitting some comments by the 18th on that?
Not necessarily. I have all the hard copies in my office, they're like on the floor, so I'll be looking through it. It's all on non-substantive type stuff, like names of some of the creeks or roadways and stuff. So that's what really they're looking for comments on, is what I understood from the transmittal letter, but we'll review it and submit accordingly.
Okay. Do you know if it's, I'm just curious, is it gonna, or does it redefine the floodplain map through town on the Uncapogre?
I think it's in some areas it does, based on the study.
That'll be interesting.
And that's all detailed in the actual study document.
Okay, what else? Adopt a highway. That's thank you, Russ. I've to date I've only heard from Russ and Kevin and myself that we're ready to go.
I watched the videos today because I saw it in here.
We went, oh yeah. All right. Well, thanks for putting that in here, Preston. We do need to. I mean, unfortunately, I think what we have to do is kind of wait for a window in the weather.
Yeah, and I was going to offer annual cleanup days in late April. Usually, maybe we can piggyback on that Saturday. Some of us go pick up on the highway, and some of us stay in town and help with the cleanup.
I would even say, well, I mean, usually I always do the town cleanup on Saturday. That Saturday, maybe we could do the highway cleanup on Sunday or something like that. But let's look at that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Maybe send out a doodle poll or something. But April, I think April's a good target. Unless anybody feels differently.
Okay, let's, I think we should pick a date, and if the weather goes squirrely, then it goes squirrely, but I need to get it on my calendar.
But yeah, will you reach out to the gal if that's who we coordinate? Yeah, I think we need to coordinate with her to.
Yeah, once we figure out a date,
okay,
we let them know and they'll get us all the stuff we need. So
Great.
it's as simple as that.
Great.
So I'll send out a doodle poll. How about we do that?
Sounds good.
The tri-agency dinner. My gosh, I can't talk. Tri-agency dinner is now on May 4th.
Sounds good.
Post-election.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Our next meeting will be post-election.
Yep, our next meeting will be swearing in for a bunch of us.
In thinking about that, once we get new people in, can we actually get a new council photo? You and I are the only
We talked about it before you.
Okay.
That's all been on the website.
Everybody that is up for election, that's here now, that gets reelected, please plan on coming in person on that day. And we'll get obviously the others to, anybody else that's elected to come too. We'll have at least one new member. Yeah, so thanks for a reminder on that. We mentioned it amongst us early on. Thanks for your report, Shane. Pam, I think we're good. Anybody have anything else? God, we're gonna get out of here just a little after 7.
I know, it's insane. So glad we're back in person. It goes so much
Oh, the
faster.
joke. What do you think, Terry?
I think this is one of the better ones, but I again defer to Bo as he's there.
Oh, what do you think?
I thought it was pretty good. It was a good effort by Preston. So
Real good joke.
And we
It was
know
a
that
town
that's
manager
not
joke.
actually true. That in his last job, he said he, at least we hope so.
Well, I knew that guy. I used to work with him.
All right, well,
I have one more question.
Okay.
Where are we on our search for a planner?
So, good question. I think Michelle Montague asked that same question at the last planning commission meeting. We have a couple applications, hoping at the end of the week to be able to arrange, an interview for the one or ones that, meet the, criteria or are eligible for interview. So stay tuned on that. Yeah, I wish I had like a better update, but that's kind of where.
That's okay, that's okay. And when are we supposed to have, or the final one, do we have a cutoff and when we're accepting
No,
applicants?
it's open until filled at this point.
Okay.
Until filled.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Thanks for reminding me. Anybody else have committee reports or reports from any of your side work here for council?
Should have one from weed board next month. Julie said she didn't realize that I wanted to be involved as a council member, but she'll throw me in from now on.
Oh, good. Thanks for reaching out on that. We had our quarterly Region 10 Board of Directors meeting just last week, I think it was. It's always interesting, lots going on. Gosh, actually, how many of you have seen what they've done with the old wafer board plant in Lakewood? The solar farm that just sprung up overnight. It's huge.
The one that the Sun wrote the article.
Yeah,
about?
I was just gonna bring that
Delta.
up. It's just outside of Delta. And there was a Colorado Sun article postulating that it's a cryptocurrency mining operation. Do you know anything about it?
It's DMEA's attempt at adding more local renewables since they left Tri-State part of their.
But they weren't owning up to that to the Sun apparently.
Yeah, I didn't read the Sun article.
I'll forward it to you. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, that's just kind of scuttlebutt. Anything else? If I don't hear an opposition, I'm going to declare us adjourned as Russ's phone starts ringing. Thanks, everybody.
This might be a record in my town council.
Nice seeing everybody. Have a great evening.
Hi, guys.
You too. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Adam.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody on Zoom. See you next month.
We get dinner tonight.
Yeah.